What's that? Uh-oh. Bop bop da boop da beep boo doo. Skip da bop da bop bop. Wop bop da bop da bop bop. I should come up with some lyrics for this, or write a different theme song, or anything. I don't know. What's up, everybody? If you don't know, now you know. It's me. It's your boy. It's old Sam. I'm here. I'm back. I'm doing what I love doing the most. Sitting. No, I'm making content. I'm making a podcast. It's good to be back. I'm chilling. If you know me, which I hope by now most of you do, I am always chilling. If I'm not chilling, I am on a quest to do some chilling as soon as possible. And tonight I'm chilling pretty hard. I got home from work, shut up. My roommate's having his first ever end of the month poker game, so I threw a quick 20 down and lost that in about 8 hands. Because I don't want to lie to you guys. I'm not good at cards. I tend to do things that I think are funny, so I'll go all in on like a 3-5 unsuited without anything on the board to, just trying to bluff, but at the same time like giggling nonstop. So it was pretty fun. I might go lose another 20 if the game's still going by the time I wrap this bad boy up. But yeah, if you're new to the show, it's fun. Every week I just kind of do a little bit different here and there. Sometimes I talk, sometimes I have guests on. This week it's just me. I didn't want to try and have a guest on while we were having a poker game going on upstairs. Also, I didn't want to have a guest in my room to record this. It's pretty cramped in here. There's one chair. It's either I'm laying in a bed while my guest sits in a chair, or I'm sitting in a chair while my guest lays in my bed. I think we both know which one of those is bad, right? Like, it would be worse for me to invite a guest over and have me laying down and be like, "Hey, welcome to the studio." Whereas if I invited a guest over and I was sitting in a desk at a computer with a microphone and I was like, "Hey, you got a mic set up in the bed. Just lay down, enjoy it." Maybe in this day and age, none of that's acceptable, and I'm okay with that because we as men need to learn how to behave in a professional setting. And I'll say it. I'll scream it at the top of my lungs. I don't give a hoot. Be better, everybody, all the time. I wake up every day and I think, man, how am I gonna be better today? And then I go back to bed because there's no answer. I'm the best there ever was. I'm the best there ever will be. And if you're shutting this off now, just wait a little bit longer. Maybe it won't be as egotistical. Could you imagine? I'm serious. Could you just imagine? Just close your eyes. If you're driving, don't close your eyes. Better yet, if you're driving, always close your eyes. Make it interesting. Who cares? Egotesticles. You're so big-headed that you're testicles. You guys get it. I don't need to paint you a picture. I don't need to paint you the Sistine Chaplain. Who cares, man? You think I do? I don't. I never have, never will. I just did a thing with the computer so I could see how long I have been recording. And it just looked like I recorded over a bunch of stuff that I thought I'd just... So, hey, who knows? Maybe this will sound good. Maybe it'll jump back and forth. I don't know. I'm still getting used to the thing. It's been a year. If you've been listening, you understand that I'm technologically big old grade A beanbag. Don't really know what I'm doing. Don't really care to figure it out. I'm doing my best. One day a week, I'm doing my best. It's been a long week, guys. It's been a long time. I don't know. I don't know. I've worked the last 9 days in a row. I'm working 13 in a row. Guys, this is too much time to be spending at a day job. I don't want to have to work so hard to then have to work hard to follow my dreams. You know, I got to work hard to pay the bills. And then after that, I got to work hard to put out the podcast and do writing and do all this. In other countries, and this is just pure speculation, in other countries, I don't think people have to work as much. I think they just follow their dreams or they don't and they work. Here, it's very tough. It's a expensive place to live. That being said, I did not let the amount of work that I had to do slow me down. I had a very good week. We did movie night. We watched Green Book, which while watching it, I was like, wow, this is really dumb. It's a good story, but it's like, why is this about a white man? Why are we following Vigo and not Mahershala? You know, and then it ended up winning Best Picture this week. So I can again go ahead and say the Oscars are garbage. They should be giving awards for comedies, but all people who do comedy know that awards are for children, and we do it for laughter or anger or reactions. You know, we don't need a little naked gold man on a pedestal to say we did good. But boy, do we want it. I went to a concert. I got down on Thursday night, went and saw this Japanese psychedelic band, Kikagaku Moyo. And I'll tell you what, that might be the second time I've pronounced that name right on the first try. It was sweet. It was at my favorite venue in Minneapolis. If you guys have a chance, go check out 7th Street Entry when you get a chance. It's amazing. It's tiny. It's intimate. It sells out with like just under 300 people. So very tight. One thing that bugs me about that venue though is if people are talking, you know, it's so small that you can hear them pretty much anywhere in the crowd. And that, I don't know. I don't think of a concert as a social event. Like, I'm not meeting up with buddies I haven't maybe I'm a little different than most people because I started going to concerts when I was in like 8th grade. I had my dad drop me off. First show I remember going to by myself was in 8th grade. It was to see the Wright Bros, which was my buddy's band, or my buddy's brother's band, and Welcome to the Cinema, who I would end up seeing, I don't know, 18 more times before I ended up graduating high school, or they broke up, or whichever one came first. But I don't go to a concert to meet up with someone who I haven't seen in a long time and chat with them. I mean, yeah, let's meet up beforehand, grab a drink, hang out, wait for doors, you know, once the band start, you know, like, it's a respect thing. The opener, I'm not going to talk during the opener. And I'm not looking for like pure silence, right? Like, I don't need people to not talk, you know, like, I'm a social dude. I have a podcast. I love talking. It's obvious, right? I just don't want you to be talking about unrelated things. I don't want you to ask me, you know, and this is what the people I go with, like, don't ask me what I'm doing this weekend. Don't ask me what I did today, because I don't care what you did today, and I don't care what you're doing this weekend. Ask me if I liked that song. Ask me if I enjoy this band. You know, ask me what the last show I saw was. Like, keep it music related. And I think a lot of people that hear me say this are a little perturbed. You know, they're a little turned off. But it's like, you wouldn't talk through a movie. And this is like those old piracy commercials, right? Like, it's like, you wouldn't steal a car. It's like, I might if I could. But you wouldn't steal a purse. And it's like, no, I wouldn't do that. But I don't know. You wouldn't talk through a movie. You wouldn't talk through a theatrical play. You wouldn't go to a comedy show and talk through it. And I'm talking about most people. Like, most people who are somewhat half intelligent understand that, like, during performance art, you just sit and you don't talk. But that doesn't seem to be the case for concerts. Like, at any comedy show, you're going to get some dummies who talk, right? Like that's part of the game. At any play, same thing. There's going to be one or two people in the crowd who are whispering a little too loud. And I don't know. Like I had two guys behind me. So I went and saw Kikagaku Moyo on Thursday, excuse me. Friday, I went and saw Alex Cameron, right? And this dude is so cool. Just like an Australian synth sex god, right? And not in like like Justin Bieber or the guys from One Direction. I'm glad that I couldn't think of any of their names off the top of my head because that's a red flag, I think, for my parents. But you know, just like a true 80s kind of scumbag bully type sexy. And it was awesome, but you know, it was a bit too much talking in the people around me. And they weren't talking about the music, they were just talking. These two guys were talking about classes they couldn't register for. And it's like, yo, dog, registration closed like 6 weeks ago. It's February, homie. Turn around. Kid you not. Turn around to these guys. And I was like, hey, that sucks. You didn't get into the class you wanted. Was Alex Cameron teaching it? The guy's like, I was like, that's good. Because you probably would have gotten an F because you're not paying attention anyway. I was boom roasted. I went back to dancing. You know? Like, and those guys stood behind me for the rest of the show talking continuously about school. And another thing about concerts that really grinds my gears, the PDA. You know, you know what? I'm not going to go off on this one because I think it's going to make me sound bitter about people who are happy and in love. But I do think that there's an acceptable amount. And I think that when you see excessive PDA at a concert, you can look at those people and say, oh, they don't get out much. Oh, they've never been to a concert before. They think this is a club where they can like make out on the dance floor and like whisper sweet nothings into each other's ears and not this show, baby. And you know, like I'm as much as the next guy. I want to have a sweet lady to bring to shows, have on my arm, you know, get down and groovy, funky with. But I think there's a line, you know, because like I don't want to have to look past two people sucking face, bruh. I could have swore there, but I thought it'd be funnier if I didn't. I think that's important too. Knowing what words mean and either deconstructing the value of that meaning or hear me out, knowing what it means and respecting what it means. So that's a weird little side tangent, but there are too many people who mess up words and they're just like, oh, you knew what I meant. And it's like, yeah, but no, because what I know is that you're lazy and dumb. I can't do this. I can't be mean to no one. I feel condescending. You know, like I can be mean to people I know. I can roast people in person, but it seems this is something that Chris D'Elia does on his podcast that like I love, and I love it when I agree with it and I hate it when I disagree with it. You know, he just roasts and he says these totally blasphemous things and he states like he believes in them, and I don't know if that's my vibe, so I'm going to try and move past it, but it was tight. I went with the homie Gus and his lady friend. I'm not going to say her name on the podcast because, you know, she probably doesn't listen to it. She probably doesn't want the shout out. And who knows if it should go down in the analogs of history. We spent about $90 on the cabs to get to and from, because that's what happens when you live in the suburbs, dude. It's the worst thing in the world. I'm so sick and tired of, I either come home from work and I don't leave, or I come home from work and I have to go back to the cities and drive. So that's an extra, half hour, 40-hour round trip in the car, really, if you're coming back and forth. or it's $90 in an Uber. Man. And another thing, I guess, this is just a fun little note. If you split an Uber with someone, make sure you split the tip, you know? Not just the tip, but the whole thing. That's just I could do a whole episode on tipping, I think, and tipping culture. But I think the way tipping should go is if you're getting a discount, always tip to the original amount. And if someone's covering the whole tab, somebody else should cover the tip and tip generously. I don't know. Tip 25%. Don't be stingy. Like, people who are working for tips work harder. People who are working for tips that aren't pizza boys work harder than anybody out there. And I know what I'm saying. I know what I just said, and I don't believe it, but I'm going to stick with it. People who make tips should get paid $20 an hour because they work hard enough for it and also still get tipped. I don't know. It was fun. Stayed up way too late when I got home, hung out, the next day, woke up. I had volunteered, and I didn't realize that I was volunteering for this event, but I had told my roommate, the homie Eric, if his buddy fell through to help him out at the Beer Dabbler. The homie Eric works at a brewery. They were serving beers at this event where people tasted beers. It's a whole thing. It was fun. It was a blast. But I was expecting to get paid or I don't know, something. But I ended up getting a free ticket to the free ticket to the event, which was like $80. And I mean, with that, I got a ton of free beer. So I got proper and slipped and fell probably about 5 times. And I don't think that was an intoxication thing. And in fact, I know it wasn't because it happened right when I got there, before I even started drinking. But when you hold an event the day after a blizzard, there's going to be some slippery, sloppery sliding, People are walking around spilling drinks all day. It's getting cold. It's freezing. It was a blast though. And every time I fell, I went for it, I banana peeled. I spilled a drink one time, up in the air, just to make Chris Farley would have been happy with me. I think he would have. And not a lot of people understand why Chris Farley died of the drugs and whatnot. But he did because he was in so much physical pain from all of the physical comedy that he performed to make dumb idiots like you and me happy. So he had to abuse drugs and food and all of his vices so he could deal with the physical pain that his body was in. Meanwhile, still perpetuating that pain because those things aren't good for you. And if you're going to keep doing, cartwheels onto your back, it's probably better to not be 300 plus pounds, Chris Farley. And this is all speculation. I think he died because he probably liked having too much fun. But did the physical pain, which is my theory, affect that? Yeah, a bit, probably. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. And if anybody out there is a doctor or a scientist, write me a letter. I got some apps I want to develop. Scientific, real-life apps. I call them applications. They have nothing to do with your cell phone. Give me a jingle. Let's get it popping, baby. Let's get it popping, baby. Let's get it popping. I'm going to take a quick break. I never do this, but I'm going to take a real quick break. And why don't you guys listen to some Kikigaku Moya? Yeah, or skip ahead 5 minutes till I start talking again. Who cares? It's free form. I do what I want. Not bad, right? Not bad. Not too bad. Not too shabby. Yeah. The show was amazing, and I'll put on a I'll put on an Alex Cameron song at the end of the podcast. I think you guys will get an idea of how it was, how the shows were. But Alex Cameron, it was truly amazing, and I should have gone back and listened to the first half of this episode to kind of see where I took that break. But who cares? I don't. He had a comic open up for him, and I can't think of her name right off the top of my head. Her Instagram account is a pretty big mouth, and if I talk just a little bit longer, I should be able to Google it in time to let you know. It's Emily Panic. She was super funny, and I think more concerts should open up with comedy. I don't think it's the best environment for a comedian, but I think the crowd who was paying attention really appreciated it. And then this woman, Lola Kirk, performed, and it was really cool because it was just her and another woman playing guitars, and they had like a backing beat, and beautiful music. And I talked to her after the show, and she invited us to go out dancing because we had a good energy. I mean me. And I thought that was really cool. Talked to her for quite a while, bought a couple records, and then Googled her afterwards. And I know what you're thinking, guys. Not like that on the internet. Nobody thought that I Googled her other than on the internet. So I find out that she's Jemima Kirk's daughter. Or excuse me, that'd be weird. Yikes, because they're like 2 years apart. She's Jemima Kirk's sister, and Jemima Kirk plays Jemima or Gemma in Girls, that HBO series. Couldn't finish that whole thing because didn't really like it. Probably because I'm a misogynist or something. I don't know. Maybe it's because it was about a bunch of whiny people. But also her dad played drums in like Bad Company or Free or another band. And so just a really cool show. Alex Cameron came out, and they're from Australia, and it was called a co-headlining tour with his boy Roy Malloy. And he mentions Roy in a bunch of songs, and Roy's this saxophone player, I guess. And if you have Instagram, look up Roy Malloy on Instagram. I think it's at Marvelous Cranes. He just takes videos of like cranes, like construction cranes, and he has a hashtag that he does called Good Cause. Hashtag Good Cause. And it's super funny. Dog of the day. He walks up to dogs and he talks to them. So it was Alex singing, and he had like the synth and the backing music behind him, and then just live saxophone. And it was so unique to see a sold out crowd react the way that they did to such a bare bones set from both bands. Something I've never really seen before. If you go to a punk show like that reaction is going to be very different. Like if I went and saw the Descendants live and it was just their lead singer, yelling into a microphone with and maybe that'd be cool. That'd be pretty Descendants-y. Man, I feel like when I do these solo, I talk way faster than I ever talk. Because normally when I'm talking to people, it's a back and forth, or I'm soaking up every second that they're listening to me. And I'm taking as long as possible. And so when I do this alone, I know that nobody's going to respond. And so I feel the need to just rev it up to 1,000. So I'm going to try and chill out a bit. I'm going to try and slow it down, rev it down. Because I'm realizing that I had already moved past the concert and talked about the Dabbler. Who cares? Everything's jumbled. So what else did I... So I worked on Sunday morning. All right. So I worked on Sunday morning, right? My boss is like, hey, can you come in on Sunday? We've got 80 pizzas that are due before noon and only one other driver. I was like, who's the other driver? He's like, it's your homie. I was like, tight. I haven't worked with him in a while. We split tips. It'll be very chill, very casual. No, no stress. which is what you hope for going into a day with that many pizzas. And so the new girl shows up. Not scheduled. She's there. Whatever. Who cares? Can I go home? No, we need somebody to do prep. Yo, but it's my day off. Still need it. So I do prep. Well, the other guy does prep. And then I'm about to leave, and they're like, hey, we just looked at prep. A lot of it needs to be done. I was like, are you kidding me? No. So I did the prep. And it turns out like those 80 pizzas that were split up over 3 or 4 orders all got taken by the new girl. She got to roll in all that night. And I didn't get to roll in any of it, dog. So I was a little BH'd, a little bum hurt. And I go home about 2 o'clock. It's the night of the Oscars. I'm not, as I stated earlier, I'm not really an awards show head. I'm not a nut for that kind of stuff. The content that I enjoy, the comedy that I enjoy is generally underappreciated. The films that I like are not award worthy because they make people happy. And apparently that's an issue with the Academy. Hey, Academy, make people happy. Come on. Green Book was corny. You know what was a better movie than Green Book that was more corny but made me more happy? Jon Favreau's Chef. Because it was written by, directed by, and starring Jon Favreau, and that's about as good as it gets. So if you're going to do corny, do it right. Have it starring Jon Favreau, not Viggo Mortensen. Because Viggo Mortensen is not a corny actor. It was very hard to listen to him. It was very hard to take that movie seriously when he literally said, hey, I'm working here. What's the big deal? I like eating the sandwiches in the car. You know, he sounded like a New York freaking dumbhead idiot. I'll say it. He sounded like a freaking dumbhead idiot. Bow, bow, roasted. Viggo, you burnt. Did you win an Oscar? Probably. No, I don't think so. I wasn't paying attention. So, the Oscars are whatever. Stoked that Lady Gaga won one because she's one step closer to an EGOT, and I think that's great. Because everybody wants an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony. Except for me. I want none of those things. I mean, it'd be hilarious to win an Oscar. Or, it would be hilarious for me to win an Oscar based on, and then they could bring this. Somebody could pull this this little rant up and put it in the end there. Oh boy, wouldn't that just be a treat for the Academy? Oh boy, wouldn't it? Oh boy. So I don't think we need to search, and this is going to sound weird coming from a guy who's perpetually seeking validation from people every day, but I don't think we need to find tangible validation. I don't think awards are I think if having a shelf full of awards gives you happiness, go for it. But I'm lying, guys. I want awards more than everybody. I want awards more than my dad, and I want awards more than Vin Diesel, and I want awards more than Steven Spielberg, and I want awards more than Ed Sheeran and Taylor Swift. I want more awards than anybody. But am I ever gonna get them? Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'll probably get a ton of them. I'll probably be the first guy to win all the awards. And they'll probably all go to, I'll probably get a special award for this podcast, They'll send it to me on a plaque. They'll send it to me on a placard, baby. This is a poor representation of who I am and what I like. Or, again, I'm lying to myself, and this is spot on all Sam content. And the fact that I don't know, and sometimes I get stuck in these wells. I had a professor who said, you literally do not know what you do not know. And I can talk myself out of just about anything, except for having that second cookie. It's wild. Just I don't know. So like, I can think about something for so long, and this is one of those things. I was like, maybe I really like this bit I'm about to do, and then I stalled a little bit and I thought about it a little too long. It's like, maybe I don't like it, and then I figured out that no, it's true, I don't like it, and so why even keep doing it? And the reason is, on paper, I just don't know. I just don't know. Life's good though, you know. I got an oil change the other day. It took about 2 hours. Jiffy Lube, more like Valvoline, because I went to Valvoline. You know, and there's 6 people in line before I got there, 2 garages. I figured it'd take an hour minimum, so wasn't too disappointed. The guys were really friendly. You know, I didn't feel taken advantage of, which you always want to leave a mechanic feeling not taken advantage of. So you either want them to not take advantage of you or be better about it than most people are. Yeah, me too. We all want that. But I don't know. I'm going to start minimalizing things in my life throughout March because we're going to be moving in the summertime, I believe. So throughout March, I'm gonna do a minimalist challenge. I meant to do it at the beginning of the year, but got a little bogged down with production stuff and going to Mexico and then coming back from Mexico and not really wanting to do anything. So I'm gonna try and get down to the grassroots. You know, I'd like to get a new computer one of these days. It's February. Debruary is almost over, guys. You're gonna hear this on the 27th, and I believe there's 28 days in February this year, which means I believe that 2020 is in fact a leap year. And that, I'd say that begs the question, and I think most people would agree with me. Raise your hand if you agree with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, pretty much everybody agrees. Begs the question, does a leap year begin on January 1st? Or, hear me out. Hey, hold on, hear me out. Hey, don't turn it off. You're still listening? Even after all that, don't turn it off. It begs the question, does a leap year begin on January 1st? Or does it begin on February 29th or March 1st? You know, where does the leap come in? And who cares? You know, couldn't we just throw that day away? Couldn't there be one day every 4 years where nothing happens, the world just ceases? You know, it's like, okay, it's February 29th. We weren't prepared for this. Or just make it March 1st, and then every 365 years a seasonal change. And I don't know how that works, but I think you lose a day out of every year. Probably backtrack a little bit at a time. Probably. I don't know. I'm not a huge calendar head. Actually, one could say I am quite the calendar head. I have big plans for calendars in my life. I want to give my buddy Max a big shout out for sending me a calendar for my birthday. He texted me, got the address, and hilarious bit, dude. Max, I know you're listening to this, the homie. The calendar made me laugh very hard because you know how much I love calendars. I'm somewhat of a calendar head, as I just said. It was an onion calendar, kind of an article a day type dealio, as they are wont to be. Thought it was hilarious. He texted me. He's like, "Hey man, what's your address? Sorry this is so late, but I got a birthday present for you." And so the day I got it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna forget to text him back, and then text him back late and be like, "Hey man, sorry I forgot to send this, but I marked my calendar, blah blah blah." And then I put it off for a week and just totally forgot about it until now. So Max, brother, I'm going to send you a text after I finish this podcast, but I want you to know thank you for the calendar. It makes me laugh every day that I remember to check it. And if I forget to check it for a couple of days, it makes me laugh a couple more times than just once. And that's pretty good. How somebody should go back to the beginning of this and tally up how many times this idiot said and maybe track down how many words I said, you know? No. Why don't you do that? Why don't you do it yourself, Sam? I don't know. Some lazy, and I mean, I do listen to the podcast every week. You know, I try to get better and better and better and better and better and better and better. Instead, I just do these bits that last too long. That's all right. I don't know. We're moving. We're trying to figure that out right now. It's the homie Eric and I. The Gus is moving in with his lady friend. So it's like, I want to move back to the cities. Gus wants to move back to the cities, but in with a lady. Eric wants to move back to the city. Well, I don't know. Eric wants to have roommates, I guess. I don't know exactly where he specifically wants to live. But I'd like to live closer to what the comedy clubs that I like to try and get out to. I'd like to live closer to my work. I think if I live closer to where I work, I know for a fact I'll be less likely to. Oh man, I just touched a button that shut the computer off. So if I don't go home after work and I don't have to drive 30 minutes back to where I want to be and then return home another 30 minutes, I know for a fact that I'll be more likely to do things that I want to do. Like, I've missed 4 concerts this February already because I didn't want to have to drive down there and I didn't want to have to pay to drive down there. Because it just gets expensive, baby. It just gets expensive, baby. So trying to get back, trying to get closer. Haven't been out to comedy since I got back from Mexico, and that is something that is really just eating away at me. Because the first week I got back, I was sick. The second week I got back, I felt bad because I didn't have any material. Like, I didn't write any material in Mexico, and then that made me feel even worse because I should always be writing. And then I fell into this kind of little slump where I wasn't writing any jokes. Started writing a new film, though. So, and I say film, it's a garbage short film. That being said, I'm very excited about it. I think it'll be very funny. There's a lot of puke. There's a milk bath. It's gonna be so bad. I love it. So I'm getting back up this week, going back out to comedy. We've had a lot of bad weather, and I've gotten really good at making excuses. But when push comes to shove, as it is wont to do, push tends to come to shove. I gotta get back out there. I gotta hone the craft. I gotta get better, and I gotta write every day. Couple jokes here and there. I don't know. I want to tell you guys a joke, but I feel like I've told all my most recent jokes that I've written on the podcast. So let's. Here's one. We'll wrap it up with this. So I went home for my mom's birthday last week, right? And it's a big family affair. Like, it was her 59th birthday for the 5th year in a row. So we're all very proud of her. And for those who know me, know I'm not very close with my mom, right? And so I call my dad, and I'm like, "Hey, Dad, if I'm not close with my mom, I'm really not close with my dad." And so I say, "Hey, Dad, it's Sam," and he's like, "Like your son." He's, I'm like, "Yep, that one." So I was just wondering what mom's like into these days, like what I can get her for a gift. And then he's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm really proud of you. I want to spank your butt. And that's actually like a callback to a joke I tell before this joke, so about how football coaches spank their players' butts when they're proud of them. But back to the story. Oh yeah, she's been staying up real late watching a lot of late night TV. She's really into these edible arrangements. And I'm having trouble hearing it. And I'm like, okay, weird, but like, okay. I studied Greek mythology in high school. I think I get it. Bit weird for you to suggest it, but you guys have been married for like 30 years. So I get it. I'm not blaming you. And so I go home and I kill my father, and my mother and I are getting married. We're actually getting married next year. And we're going to be going on our honeymoon for her 65th birthday. And, I guess it turns out my dad was right, and my mom truly loved the Oedipal arrangement. And Oedipal arrangement. So sometimes it kills, sometimes it doesn't. It's a work in progress, but it's all I've got. So, hey, everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in, as you are wont to do, or you often do. You know, this wasn't the best episode. It is definitely not the worst. That being said, I'll see you next week. Make sure to, email me at thedeviledadvocate@gmail.com if you have anything to say. Follow me on Twitter, salsa_Dave, Instagram, salsadave23. Go to Facebook, like The Deviled Advocate. It's deviled with... Sorry, it's got 2 D's, 2 E's, 2 L's, and 1 I, baby. Deviled. Advocate, it's advocate with an egg. But yeah, keep it easy. Treat others with respect, and don't forget to brush your teeth. Enjoy this song.
There's a light in your head, an apocalyptic glare. We're in love again. We're in love again. And it looks just like a comet, fire coming from it. Oh baby, let's just sit back and stare. We're in love again. We're in love again. And I can't stop thinking about it. My favorite kind of fever. When you tell me not to doubt it, I tell you I believe you. I'm a man on a mission. You're a stripper out of love. And we're good in the backseat, but we're better up front. And there's blood on my knuckles, 'cause there's money in the trunk. Keep running out of luck. Keep running out of luck. Now there's cash on a stage. Doesn't matter what they paid. We're in love again. We're in love again. So please don't stand around me when she starts a dancing. I'm feeling like I might catch a case.